I am Sharon Weisman of Licensing International, the leading trade organization for the global licensing industry. I started my career at License Global magazine 14 years ago, where I fell in love with the endless potential and revenue streams licensing can offer established brands that are ready to expand beyond their core. Just because people truly identified with them, connected with them emotionally, or truly trusted them. Brand elasticity based on pop culture and licensing done correct excites me. So 3 years ago, I joined Licensing International to make sure the industry community is held to the highest standards, so licensing can be done ethically, responsibly, and respectfully. Through education, information, and networking platforms, we help connect the best in class, growing and strengthening the licensing industry. Since licensing is impacted by consumer behavior and depends heavily on brick and mortar stores, we started seeing sales decline and teams shrinking in April 2020 due to the pandemic closures. Luckily, it was then proven once again that brands were more important than ever. Customers took comfort in branded product, in licensed product that made them feel nostalgic, comfortable, and safe. But more stores closing and consumers not being able to go in stores and buy in person forced companies that didn't have a strong e-com strategy in place to be more creative so consumers and fans can get products they need or want. In the US and Europe, customers aren't as accustomed to shopping online as in Asia. So the pandemic caused licensing companies and content producers to re-strategize when and where the content will be released and how the supply chain needed to change in order to meet the new demand. So as I mentioned, in late March, beginning of April 2020, it was like someone took the licensing board game, shook it, threw it up in the air, and then stomped on it a few times. And now it's time for the licensing teams to pivot until all the pieces land and we figure out who fits in where and what does a new normal look like when the new normal is actually changing constantly. The main difference is that by now we can see how the equation has changed. If once upon a time, last year, the equation was a brand owner finds a licensee, which is a manufacturer, and gave them a license to go to retail together, now all these components have to become sellers. Brand owners do it by opening pop-up stores, concept stores, own their own e-commerce platform, create private label lines, and so on. The retailer is a seller by nature, but the physical shelves are now shrinking and their online business is growing via strategic partnerships. This leaves us with the manufacturers, the licensees. They have two choices now. They can either go DTC, direct to consumer, by investing their own money and their own e-commerce platforms, leveraging Amazon, Shopify, WeChat, and so on, or developing their own brands. So they have an IP in-house. They have more control and bigger margins of what they get at retail. By managing this equation, we're able to control the radical changes we have seen since the start of the pandemic, because the consumer is still consuming and will forever be consuming. The question just is where and what. Where? Mostly online right now. What? Customers will be buying licensing products like food and beverage, health and beauty, wellness in particular, gaming, toys, and anything that would entertain us and make us comfortable at home. People will forever need to eat, always want to be healthy and beautiful, and need to be comfortable, safe, and entertained at home. The licensing categories that are trending right now are health and wellness, food and beverage, gaming and esports, toys, and home, including home and family entertainment such as board games, puzzles, and so forth. The category that was hit the hardest is fashion, with a sharp decline in sales since, well, for one, you don't even know if I'm wearing pants right now or not. But really, because we aren't gathering, we aren't celebrating, we aren't partying together, we aren't going on dates as much as we would want to, we aren't flying to conferences or client meetings, we don't really need as much clothes as we usually would. For example, sales on fashion footwear dropped 28% compared to last year. So tops are more popular right now. And loungewear is still trending as well. And we wonder, will athleisure still be cool after the end of this pandemic? Let's keep it real. Every country is dealing with this pandemic differently. There doesn't seem to be a wrong way or a right way to do it right now. It's not a secret that Italy and US, for example, have paid a big price. Some of Europe is closing up again. And there's no way we can predict the future in this particular moment. But technology is helping us work around this. Everyone is just a Zoom call away, and we're shifting our trade networking events to take place virtually. The show must go on beyond. This, of course, has a global effect on trading, in addition to the cotton ban in China, import and export challenges, sustainability and diversity agendas. The fact that I'm not eating Korean barbecue and kimchi in Seoul with you right now, for example, is hard evidence. The last trade show I attended was New York Toy Fair in the end of February 2020. It was hustling and bustling. No one really knew that we were dealing with a global pandemic at that point. Last month, there was a licensing show that took place in Tokyo, Japan. But it has proven that even events that take place in person will only be attracting local exhibitors and visitors until there's a global solution. Pfizer announced 90% success on a vaccine today, and I believe there'll be new responsible travel guidelines to follow. I have seen many creative solutions for virtual events, and there is an event association for virtual events being built right now. A noteworthy event that I wanted to discuss is ComplexCon. It's launching its new virtual experience in December called Complex Land. You will get to land onto the show floor in Fortnite style in your customized avatar, head to toe, watch live performances, shop all kinds of limited edition and drop pieces from a variety of brands, learn more about curated food vendors, talk to fellow attendees, participate in discussions, and so much more. So really, at this point in time, I don't think we need to mirror the previous media that we used to attend. There's no reason to build booths like we would build them in COEX or in the Javits. Technology will bring us to whole new levels of hybrids. Expos and conferences will become way more tech savvy, leveraging AR, VR, and AI. There can be a customized format for people attending, as well as a customized format for people who will be logging on remotely. Yes, territories are impacted very differently by the pandemic. It all depends on the existing landscape and the size and consumer behavior. Asian countries are culturally more accustomed to wear masks and socially distance. They also are very familiar with online shopping on many seamless platforms. In America, retailers are shifting rapidly to form alliances to create platforms that will streamline e-commerce and really educate the consumer in order to adapt. Walmart and Shopify and TikTok, these are great examples for strategic partnerships. While Amazon continues to dominate, shifting into major categories like healthcare. Suddenly, countries in Europe that weren't so excited about letting Amazon grow into their territories are more open to the idea because it answers a fundamental need right now. In Latin America, only 12% of the population shop online, which means sales are down significantly. However, there is a huge potential for online retailers there, as well as service providers, to generate new business. Transition periods are painful, but Adobe, for example, has predicted that in 2020, US holiday sales will reach a record high with an increase of 33% in spending. The reason being there won't be a single peak like Black Friday or Cyber Monday. People aren't waiting. They are at home, they are available, and they are engaged. The most anticipated gift to be expected to be bought on those days include, well, a lot of video games and consoles. More brands will want to bring the experience home. How does a beer like Guinness bring the happy hour experience home? How do music and sports events bring concerts and games experience to your living room? How do gyms bring fitness to your bedroom or backyard? As we live through this pandemic era, we navigate our businesses strategies through a lot of uncertainty and constant reevaluation. When it comes to licensing, the consumer is at the center of everything we do. To be successful, you must understand your consumer and evolve to meet their needs constantly. Consumer habits have changed so drastically that it caused a fundamental disruption in almost every industry. Throughout the licensing lens, biggest change we can see is the decrease of physical store sales, increase of online sales, and therefore a dramatic change in the supply chain. The demand has changed, so the supply is now adjusting. This is also due to the change in the channels of distribution and the lack of live events. We once used to experience something and want to take part of it home with us. From a concert, a con, a movie, a game, fans would walk out with merchandise that made their hearts sing. Instead, content providers and developers are releasing tons of content to keep us entertained at home. Netflix is lucky, since the way they're structured, they actually had a full year of runway with the content, and could also offer studios to shift their theatrical releases to its streaming platforms. Disney shifted to streaming very quickly too. It's up to us to build new invisible bridges from the fans to the brand experiences and vice versa, and help translate eyeballs to purchases. Technology is our building blocks. AR, VR, and AI help us build these. Data and creativity will help licensing become stronger and grow steadily. Businesses that are winning right now are businesses that are adapting to change, constantly re-strategizing, constantly figuring out what are the essentials that people need right now or want right now. They have strong online presence, they partner with the right service providers, they target their audience, and they analyze data correctly and constantly. They're taking a stand, they're communicating with purpose, they're supporting a cause, they're solution-oriented. They can provide branded services or different experiences at home. They're fighting for a cause and creating impact. Licensing businesses that are mastering direct to retail or direct to consumer strategies while we're all at home are able to navigate these uncertain times. Content developers and distributors that are able to gamify the experience are also leveraging this pandemic. Digital properties are keeping a large demo engaged, entertained, and distracted, while also connecting them to friends and family they can't see right now. For the same reason, the toy industry was also able to stay healthy and strive. On the overall, toy sales have been unusually strong during this pandemic. In the month of May alone, the toy industry grew 36%, with sales being up 15.4% from last year. For example, Lego is a winner because their product is solving for kids as well as adults, passing time creatively. They have a strong online, both e-commerce and s-commerce business, and taking a strong stand on the importance of sustainability. Brands are offering protection, safety, comfort, stress-free, purpose-focused. They're offering products that can be repurposed, that are easy to store while we're all at home. The licensees, those are the manufacturers, are pivoting very quickly to make masks, hand sanitizer, and disinfectant from the same reasons, using licensing to help them win. We found that children were anxious about wearing masks at first. Having a superhero or your favorite character really helped. There's also a big uptake for product that keeps us sane. Calm, the meditation app, is winning because it's playing in trending categories, health and wellness, by creating puzzles, relevant streaming content, and so forth. Value stores are winning because they're solving for people being on a budget right now. For retailers that sell those licensed products today, the crucial brand message to convey to customers is that they will help them protect their families, keep their families entertained and educated at home, as well as help them save money. All content producing entities are focusing heavily on streaming right now. They also understand that if they are producing content, they don't necessarily have to release it on their own platforms. They can utilize other platforms for distribution. We've seen Disney pivot very quickly and invest heavily in streaming. Netflix, which is the biggest brand growth in America right now, offering more content than ever, and partnering with studios like NBC Universal to release big movies such as Stroll 2 and be supported by licensees with the right licensing program. For a lot of content producers, adjusting to the new normal meant releasing content directly to streaming, but it also meant shrinking that window we all had in order to set licensing programs in place and partnering with partners that are a bit different than what we would consider usually. A lot of print-on-demand companies and social media platforms that will answer demand quickly. This new normal taught us to use print-on-demand and manufacturing on demand to also test product like a litmus paper and target demos better, mitigate risk and waste at the same time. I believe the real winners are the companies that built their own print-on-demand platforms. Disney, Amazon Studios, Lunchbox. They'll be able to analyze the right data in a quick manner and launch licensing programs for more niche IPs. The fastest growing IP right now is Pokemon. While the vector is definitely pointing towards gaming IPs becoming the next big franchises. After Fortnite created a big splash and anime is becoming more and more mainstream in the US and Europe, it's safe to say that this powerful combo is what enables Pokemon to grow so much licensing revenue. When it comes to gaming and esports, it's hard to tell what will have a longer shelf life for merchandise and what will disappear in a minute after a new game comes out. The window for licensing is much smaller, but the opportunities are huge. The strategy is not traditional. In the US, when it comes to licensing revenue, Disney is still top of the licensor list with $54.7 billion, followed by Meredith Corporation, Authentic Brands Group, Warner Media, PVH, Universal, Hasbro, and Viacom. The conferences and trade show formats are indeed evolving. I believe they will all be consisting of a virtual and an in-person offering to create powerful hybrids. The virtual platform will enable trading year-round, providing education and networking opportunities. It will never replace in-person meeting. It will mainly make sure that these communities are always engaged, initiate conversation, create new brand experiences, and ultimately, it will all accumulate with an emotional peak at an in-person event. If I had to guess, we will be starting to roll out in-person events in the third quarter of next year. Their events will be reflected with a rather localized domestic attendance since travel and entertainment budgets are already being set right now, and they will be affected deeply next year. Eventually, after a vaccine is provided to the masses, we will see less homogeneous exhibit and attendees. We need to embrace the best of all worlds to find the balance between virtual and physical. In the right way, they can complement each other and create a more effective and productive business strategy. If we use technology, we'll be able to elevate our experiences and customize. So if I can go to an event, it would be equivalent to maybe not getting a cake, but enjoying a cupcake that really hits the spot. The forms of marketing and sales I think will be successful in the future are A, UGC, user-generated content, B, social media campaigns, and AI-driven e-com. Together with print-on-demand and on-demand manufacturing, as well as taking advantage of marketplaces that support personalization and unique fan art. The next generation has expressed their quest for authenticity and purpose. If we let them create the content for us and help it go viral, we make them part of the conversation, converting them into loyal followers, into believers, into fans. They are digital native, and while they appreciate traditional retail and physical stores, they consume content and mostly buy merchandise online. I call 2021 the year of jumping jacks. You know how in between reps, you do those jumping jacks just to keep your heart rate elevated, to keep yourself in the game, to make sure that you're warm and that you're ready. That's what 2021 will be for us. In a way, we're still in shock. We're still constantly recalibrating and reevaluating our business strategies. Everyone will be playing it safe. There won't be drastic news or growth or huge deals, mainly building partnerships and networks that work, that amplify each other and create avenues of synergy to stay relevant. The tips I would give Korean companies looking to enter Europe and the US markets. First, make sure you build a loyal following and a strong online presence. This also means you can prove who your audience actually is on social media, YouTube, Watch, Twitch, TikTok. This means that we could plan accordingly. We know who your demo is and what merchandise they might want, what the price points would be, and so forth. Instead of first looking for a broadcaster partnership, try seeking for partners that can plan your licensing program at the same time. Not separately. Create a holistic solution from the get-go. You should also work with local creative companies. They can help you transform your brand power into the right voltage, helping you create style guides, assets, everything with the right vibe and localized messaging you'd need to really penetrate. You should also research companies that can help you with e-commerce, that both spotlight and protect your IP. Print-on-demand companies like Gotham City, Box Lunch, Redbubbles, and others can help you break through the clutter and manage risk or avoid creating excess inventory. Final words. I know it's hard not to be able to participate in any networking events right now. It's hard not being in the room, reading the social cues, overcoming the language or cultural barrier, shaking hands. But instead of networking, build your network. It doesn't have to be a huge network. It has to be the right network. Make the right connections and build a support system of people or companies that can help you advance your business. Instead of trying networking with as many people as possible, be strategic. Build imaginary bridges from your content to social media. Have people start amplifying or creating your content. If you have a great IP or product, make sure fans know where to find you from the comfort of their own homes. I am dangerously optimistic. I really do believe that by next year, I will be able to be in Seoul and eat kimchi at COEX. But until then, 감사합니다.